And we have returned for episode 7 of Chicago Bears Rebuild. This is year 1. Hugh Jazz is still our head coach. We are 1-5 after an embarrassing loss against the winless Washington Commanders. I figured going into the game it would be rough. I didn't think it'd be this rough, but our offensive line is our biggest weak unit, and their defensive line is easily their strongest unit, and we just got destroyed. I ended up simming 90% of that game because we started off so piss poor that I just wasn't worth my time to play. In this episode, though, I'm going to change things up. There won't be a ton of gameplay in this episode. I'm going to try to accelerate this rebuild. We are 1-5 this year. I don't expect us or want us to be particularly really good, so I'm kind of just going to start simming a lot of the games and seeing how we're playing and doing a lot more planning for the future. So week 7 here, we are going to face the 3-3 New England Patriots. As you see, Judon has an X Factor. I did go back and change all the X Factors and Superstars before the season started. As far as player re-signings go, I wanted to give Riley Reef just a 1-year deal, just cause, but he's not going to re-sign. I'm not going to give him any more. Blasting game, I don't really mind bringing back, but I'm just going to let him walk. Actually, I'm going to bring him back. Finding guys that actually play fullback are really hard to get, but if he doesn't sign that, it is what it is. Not bringing back N'Keal Harry. Morrow, we do want to bring back 27. He is our starting linebacker this year. Hopefully, he'll be replaced in the draft or in free agency, but if not, we'll definitely re-sign him. I'm gonna give him a pretty decent. I might do a little overpay for him next week, but yeah, definitely hasn't been terrible for us. Brisker has been our best defensive player this year. If you missed last episode, we did make a trade. We traded Eddie Jackson for Eric Armstead and another player. I did that trade just because Jackson is, albeit he's 1 or 2 years younger than Eric Armstead, but Hicks had played week 1, had a pick and a pass breakup, and our defensive line is just garbage. And I think having Eric Armstead is going to help us better in the long run. We are close to dead last in sacks, and so right now he's playing inside, but I could always move him to the outside. And safety is just, the secondary this year has been pretty good, and it's a position that is a lot easier to replace, in my opinion. And it's also a position that's a lot easier to hide. If you have a bad defensive line, you can't do much about it. If you just have a bad free safety or a free safety that's not very good, you can kind of hide that with different coverages and whatnot, especially if you have good corners. But anyway, I saw that to say, week 7 here, we see the stats down at the bottom. Our offense is 30th in everything in both pass yards per game and points, and 17th in the rush. And like I was saying, our defense, our secondaries is good. They're number 5 in the league. It's the only green thing about us. Everything else in the defense is terrible. We see the Patriots have a very good offense and not a good defense. They're kind of the opposite of what they are in real life. They have the number 9 ranked offense and the 29th ranked defense, so kind of weird. Anyway, we are not going to play this game. We are going to scout some college players, as that is, of course, looking towards the future, and that is what we're more focused on right now. I'm not looking at getting a quarterback ever, but I am looking at my top position. It changes week to week occasionally, but my top prospect is still Louis Acosta, the power rusher out of Ole Miss. He's projected to be in the top 5, which is where our pick should land. We see his ratings there. Everything looks good. Everything checks out. His skills are what really intrigue me. B power moves, B play rec, B awareness, C block shed. But that top 5 projection is really what gets me. Nothing is insane about the ratings, but his top 5 projection just makes me believe that he has a very, very high upside. There's also another guy on here that I scouted last week who ended up having amazing physicals, and I'm trying to remember who it was. It might have been Mike Stallings. Yeah, it was. Great to elite acceleration, agility, and speed at receiver, projected to be in the first or second round. D short route running, which is of course not good, but those physicals are really good. But these are the guys we kind of added to the list last week. So I do want to look at more guys in the latter rounds. We have a lot of guys here that's going to go on in the top 2 rounds, and so I do want to get a couple more guys that could potentially fall to round 3 or 4, just so that we have options there. And I want to look at it more on the offensive line. I don't know why my computer is getting so loud. So looking at the guards, there's a lot. There's a couple 2 to 3 and 3 to 4. There's only 2 guys at left guard, and the rest are later days guys. But for these guys, I like to look at their strength rating and their agility rating the most for guards, specifically because they pull, and they're the guys moving up to the second level. So I think agility is very important, and of course strength is important for any lineman. So decent to solid strength and agility is not really what we want. But he does have air awareness, which is very important, and a pass block finesse. So I am going to add him to the list, just because it's simply off that a pass block finesse. Joey Knight here. Great tool to change of direction, solid to good speed, marginal decent strength. It's not what you want to see. And it seems more like a tackle kind of guy with, a little bit more agile, a little bit more athletic versus power. Joshua Boston, projected day 3 guy. Good to great strength, marginal decent agility, D pass block, C run block. Okay. Not the greatest ratings, but, for a day 3 guy will add to the list. And then Delonte Rich, the left guard we're going to look at. C pass block, C run block, C awareness, solid to good speed, good to great strength, and marginal decent agility. We're going to add him because of the strength. And, all C's from a guy on day 3 is not the worst thing in the world. I don't know why I skipped left tackles. But we'll look at the left tackles here. I looked at DeAndre Matthews earlier in the series, and I remember I didn't like him. Poor marginal strength is why. To me, that's just, he has a pass blocking stuff, but to me, that's just a red flag. This guy, Randy Langford, has the pass protector archetype with poor to marginal strength again, but a pass blocking and a awareness. So, I don't trust the strength. We'll go and we'll skip Kevin and Ringer, and we'll take a look here at Malcolm Hearing, who also has the pass protector. Marginal decent strength, still not what you want, but A awareness, a C run block, B lead block, A pass block finesse. Add him to the list. Devontae Darnold over here, Donald. Okay, good to great strength, exactly what we want to see. A pass block, A lead block, F injury though. And I do have injuries on, so that is a fat red flag. Ban O'Neal. This is the type of guy I want at left tackle with an agile archetype. Good to great everything, and then great to elite jumping and change of direction. Now, jumping is really pointless for offensive linemen. A awareness, A stamina, C run block, but he's agile. We can put him out there at the tackle. Definitely a guy I want to keep an eye on. And then Adrian Anderson, a day 3 projection. Great to elite agility and marginal decent strength. D, okay, he's not a good run blocker at all. Derek Green, power, that whenever I see a power on a tackle, I instantly think guard, just the way I think. D pass block and D run block, though. Marginal decent strength, I don't know where they got the power from. And then the last guy we'll take a look at for this position is Josh Claxton. And he has poor to marginal strength. Obviously, that automatically takes him off my list. And then the rest of these guys we'll look at potentially in a different episode. I do also want to look at the right tackle position. There's not a lot of talent here. We see Tavon Conway, who we've already taken a look at. And then we have Thad Gaffney. Another 1 to 2 or first to second round projection. Marginal decent strength. But A impact block, A pass block finesse. Keep an eye on him. And then these 2 guys, the next 2 guys with the 2 archetypes unlocked, I'll likely end up putting on my list, except for this guy because he has poor to marginal strength. I just don't want that, just because I don't know what you don't really know. With a low strength rating, the way it should be, I'm not sure this is exactly how it works, but with a low strength rating, their pass block and run block power shouldn't be very high and shouldn't have the ability to get very high. And I just don't like that. The same issue with Brian Sims. So whenever I see that low strength, I get nervous because their power ratings can't be super high. D pass block on this guy, but A impact blocking and solid to good strength. Like I said, the only positions I'm going to be moving around to keep it realistic, is I will occasionally move guards to tackles and tackles to guards. It all just depends on the player. Like, for this guy becoming as a rookie, so he'd come in as a guard, even though he's drafted as a tackle. And then, of course, I'll move around linebackers / edge rushers depending on the scheme I'm running. Other than that, I'll try not to move any ones around. Like, I don't like moving middle linebackers to coverage outside linebackers if I'm running a 4-3. I don't like moving tackles to ends unless defensive tackles to defensive ends unless they've played that position before. Corners to safeties and vice versa I don't like doing, just for the realistic-ish aspect of it. Because in Madden it's like, you could move your corner to safety and it's strictly off ratings, and so he's going to be good no matter what. Or he's going to be good no matter what. Typically, if you move a safety to a corner, their rating goes up. I mean, vice versa. If you move a corner to a safety, their overall rating goes up. But, yeah. I'm going to take a look here at Dwayne Claiborne, only because he's gone up 116 positions. So this could be a sleeper guy, one of those guys that actually ends up being pretty good. Marginal or decent strength, poor marginal everything else. So he's definitely a guard in my eyes. C, run block. B, impact blocking. We'll go ahead and keep an eye on him just because he's rising up so much. If I see a guy rising up like 108 spots, I'm going to take a look at him. Solid to good strength is really solid. I kind of just repeated it. And then we see the C and D, pass and run block finesse. And he has an F run block power, which is interesting. So we will not look at him. And then Grant McCoy also shooting up the boards. Poor to marginal strength. Yeah, just not doing that. We'll take a look at Daniel Sherman, who's a power guy, so maybe look at him for guard. Decent to solid strength, nothing good. So that's going to be it for the scouting. I'll look at the other two offensive lineman positions in a different episode. But as we see so far, we have a nice mix of players. We have a guy that we have basically a tackle for every round, a right tackle for every round. We didn't look at any guards or right guards. We have a left guard for a second round and then later rounds, and then we have left tackle for the early 3 rounds. But assuming I don't make another trade and get more draft picks, I am planning on taking Louis Acosta with my first overall pick if he stays in the top 5 projection. He's going to be one of my focus players, no doubt. And then in the second round, I plan on taking a receiver. And then in the third round, we'll address the offensive line. And then in the latter rounds, we'll kind of address the rest of the defense. We'll address linebackers, maybe get a guard if there's still a decent one available. But we'll mostly focus on the defensive side of the ball, getting linebackers and just getting depth on the defensive line. That is my current plan for the draft. Obviously, a lot depends on the pick we get, the guys that are available, and what the postseason prospects are looking like as we sim the game. And we lose to the Patriots 24-7 and fall to 1-6. And this is our next game is against the undefeated Dallas Cowboys. We do have mock draft 2 out, so we'll take a look at that. It has us with the number 1 pick taking Cole Lindsey out of Notre Dame. He is a pass rusher. I don't think he's on my list. I think I just skipped him. I looked at his stuff and just ignored it. Louis Acosta here is projected to go number 4 to the Vikings. Any of our offensive linemen. So Tavon Conway projected to go number 9. But let's take a look. I saw the Cardinals there taking a quarterback, which is interesting. But we'll take a look here at the guy that they have us taking, which is Cole Lindsey. And he actually is on my list. I just don't remember him. Must have been week 1. But he, okay, great to elite speed, good to great, jumping, solid to good speed. So very good physical ratings. A lot of A's I see. A awareness, A to C finesse, A hit power, B to D impact blocking, B play rec, A tackle, which is great. That's a middle linebacker type rating. B to D zone coverage, which is fine. If I'm going to get a linebacker, he's going to be a pass rusher. And then A to C injury, A to C power moves. Where's the finesse moves? B play rec, C man. A to C finesse moves. Okay, so A to C power and finesse moves. We'll get the official grades later on. He'll be a focus player as well. And if they turn out to be A's, we'll definitely consider taking him above Louis Acosta. But Yeah, we are projected to have the number 1 pick right now, which makes sense because we are 1-6 and likely to be 1-7 after this game. We have some player upgrades. None of them are starters, so we'll just go ahead and sim it or auto upgrade it. But it is Cowboys week here. I believe this is the trade deadline, or there is one more week. I am going to explore some trades, maybe get a draft pick or two. We don't have a ton of assets to trade now that Eddie Jackson is gone. We don't have a ton of other players that I'm okay parting ways with. Like Cody White here, potentially he is 30 years old. Trade him to a contender. The Bengals right here, that's their number 1 need. So we'll potentially move him. And he would garner probably a 3rd-round pick or a 2nd-round pick. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else that I'm like hard set on moving. I am going to re-sign Morrow. I do need to remember to do that. Try to move Riley Reef on an expiring contract. He's a guy that, could just provide good depth for a team like the Bills at the tackle spot. Maybe get a 4th-round pick for him if they are interested and they accept it. So we move on from Riley Reef. He's 33. We try to re-sign him on a cheap 1-year deal. Didn't go for it, so we're just going to go ahead and move it. We are sellers at the deadline, so we're looking to just offload any older players for draft picks. And I'm not really worried about getting young prospects because players don't progress in Madden really at all. They progress really poorly in this game. But I am going to give a player-friendly contract here. 3-year deal. He still wants a bigger offer. I don't want to go extra player friendly because he's not that good, and I'm definitely not franchise tagging him. Armon Watts, we won't bring back, but Taco Charlton we will. He is interested in us. He has a goated name, former Michigan player. I'm an Ohio State fan, so it is weird, but he's a good player or a solid player. Matthew Adams. 26 years old, 6 foot 229, playing linebacker. Just seems a little big to me, but we'll see. Michael Schofield we'll probably bring back as well. 31-year-old guard, 70 overall. We need depth on the offensive line. I know I just traded away Riley Reef, who I believe was our starting right tackle. So we'll see how that goes. We also have to remember that Tevin Jenkins was drafted as a tackle. He was drafted to be the left tackle of the future. Obviously, it didn't work out. They moved him to guard, where he's been decent this year. Sam Mustipher, maybe I look to move on from Lucas Patrick. And, you might be thinking, oh, well, offensive line is your weak point. It makes no sense to trade offensive linemen, which is true. But at the same time, it's like we're not trying to contend this year. None of these guys that we're moving away are important parts of our future or are good offensive linemen, to be honest with you. So moving on from them isn't as big of a deal. The last guy I'm going to try to move, I think I am going to explore trades of Cody White here. I wish there was like a trade finder thing. There is, I guess, but I have to wait a week because I don't have it unlocked. But the Bengals are interested in Cody White here. A lot of teams are. So I'm going to try to move him to a contender because he is older. So obviously it makes sense to move him to a team like the Cowboys or the Bengals. They're still the best team in the league, so I'm not going to try to get their pick. Maybe move him to... I actually might end up moving him to the Bengals. And I think I will. And maybe we get a first-round pick for him. Maybe. In real life, he would probably go for a 2nd or 3rd. But like I said, like I've mentioned before, the NFL and picks and trades and stuff is so hard to predict. Okay, so he would go for about a 1st in this game. So it's almost full. Do I chase this 1st-round pick and give them a 7th? Give him a late 7th-round pick. Okay, let's try to give him the earlier 7th-round pick. See if that gets that little sliver done. It does. So we trade Cody White here, our best offensive lineman. He's 30 years old. He's still under contract, and a 7th-round pick for the Bengals' 1st-round pick. The Bengals, I guess, are expecting to be very good. They clearly are. They have the 29th projected pick. So they are very good. And I guess they're looking, hey, our pick's going to be late first round. We need a guard. Let's go win a Super Bowl here. Protect Joe Burrow. So it makes sense. Getting a first-round pick for a 30-year-old guard is kind of a reach. But, we're just going to take what the game gives us in this situation. But it is time to do our national focus plan. So let us see. So he's better scouting defensive tackles or offensive tackles and defensive tackles. We're going to set him to offensive tackles. And then it is not time to do the regional focus scoutings. But we're going to go and set our national to offensive tackles. So that'll be good. We'll get some more information on tackles, and we will move on to the next week against the Dolphins. And we did lose to the Cowboys, but it was a close game. We lost by 4 to the undefeated Cowboys, 31-27, and fall to 1-7. And we have some more player upgrades. Kyler Gordon. And we'll go man-to-man here. And he's going to get some pretty good ratings. +2 man, +1 zone, +1 press, and +1 awareness. The rookie out of Washington. All right, and back to the scouting. This is kind of what this episode's going to be. It's going to be a lot of scouting. And now that the trade deadline has passed, it's really just going to be scouting and simming. I did offensive linemen last week. I still have to look at centers and right guards. But for now, I'm going to look at tackles. On the inside, we do have Josh Lynch up here. We do have another first-round pick. So we have 2 first-round picks now. Of course, we're praying for the Bengals' downfall, hoping that they come out of the playoffs soon. But Tyree Winters, I see, has great physical ratings. Good to grade everything except for acceleration and agility. A play rec, A to C power moves, A stamina. C block shed is kind of boo for a guy that's going to be in there to stop the run, but he's listed as a power rusher. Roman Robbie has the run stopper archetype, great to elite strength. That is what I like to see. B to D block shed, A tackle, A impact blocking, B finesse moves. B finesse moves actually seems very high for a run blocker archetype. We'll go ahead and keep an eye on him as well. And then we're going to look at later guys because I plan on addressing this position later in the later round. Solid to good strength. That means we will move on and look at him. F play rec, which as a D tackle, I guess is fine because regardless if it's a run or a pass, you're running straight into an offensive lineman. But D block shed is absolutely terrible. And D tackle. I did not mean to like Devontae Mann yet. Take a look at him. Solid to good strength, which means we'll move on to skills. F power moves, D block shed. What is he gonna do at that? He's a speed rusher on the inside. Interesting. Zach Hargrave, solid to good strength. A lot of these guys are strong. A to C pursuit. Okay, D power moves, C finesse. Where's block shed? B to D block shed. We'll keep an eye on him until we get his block shed rating, and then we'll make a decision there. Earl Roberts, another power rusher, or another run stopper, Great to elite strength. B block shed. Okay, perfect. This is a guy that we definitely are gonna watch. And then we'll take a look at some middle linebackers as well. Definitely not a linebacker class, but we will look at a lot of field generals here. Doug Collier, we have looked at. I remember that name. Great to elite speed. I don't know why he's not on my list. We'll go ahead and throw him on there. Oh, he is on my list. I'm just blind, apparently. But we'll look at a couple others. We'll look at some of these pass coverage linebackers. Marginal decent strength. Good to great acceleration. Solid to good speed. Okay, A to C zone coverage. B man. B man is all I need to see. And I know I'm going quick with these scouting, but obviously, it's a fat. Every year, the draft classes are huge. Obviously, it's the NFL, so I kind of want to go quick. Also, I don't have a ton of information on these guys, and so there's not much I can look at. I don't have game film, obviously, and I don't have the NCAA to load up stuff like if anyone who watches Bengals franchise series he does. So there's not a lot for me to do. I kind of just have to take these quick takes until we get close to crunch time and we get a lot more completion. But that's gonna be it for this week. I'm gonna do a little bit less than I did last week, just because this is kind of gonna be the rest of the episode, so I don't want to spend too much time on one position group. But let's see if we can get our second win here against the Dolphins in the sim. We don't. Another loss. Okay, we've had 2 1-possession losses in a row. This one 24-17, and we'll face the 2-6 Detroit Lions. And this division is terrible. We see us in last at 1-8, the Vikings in third at 1-7, and the Lions in second at 2-6. It's crazy. This division is really bad when the second best team is 2-6. But David Montgomery has an upgrade, which is nice. We're gonna go ahead and go with elusive back. He's a guy that I'll keep on the team until his contract's up. We did extend him earlier this year. Diamondor Lenore, I love that name. Has an upgrade point. We'll go man-to-man, as we'll go with a lot of our corners. +3 awareness is great. Second-year player out of Oregon. And then Joe Thomas, we'll just go ahead and get this upgrade out of the way. He's bounced around the league a lot in his NFL career. But week 10 against a division foe, the Lions. We do have an injury, anyone but Justin Fields, and it is Dane Cruikshank, our backup strong safety. So he will miss some time. But we do have 24 staff points. As always, I'm gunning for that extra focus player, which I'm able to get now. And I will do that 2 more times. So we now have an extra focus player. So I will go into the weekly strategy and adjust those, because I believe that also unlocks the ability for me to change my focus players. So we're going to go ahead and let the computer handle that. Yep. And then for focus players, we'll keep Brisker up there. And then just Justin Fields needs to be up there, of course, our quarterback of the future. Braxton Jones, I can see a 73 overall rookie left tackle. I'm okay with that. And then Kyler Gordon. Do I want to do Kyler Gordon, or do I want to do our right guard, a former, I believe he was a first-round pick, Tevin Jenkins? We'll do Tevin Jenkins for now. Get that extra XP for those guys. Got some more player upgrades. And it is going to be Fields and Brisker, our two of our focus players. We'll do Fields. We'll do Field General. It's upgrades to all of your accuracy, I'm pretty sure. Yep, awareness, deep accuracy, and short accuracy go up. And Jaquan Brisker is next, and we will do. He's been great. He's been our best tackler by far. At least he has when I've been playing the games. He's been the most consistent tackler. Let's actually take a look at his stats, if Madden actually is recording stats. Yeah, so he has 46 total tackles, 1 TFL, no picks, no sacks. But when I've been playing the games and a running back gets free and it's a one-on-one in the open field, more often than not, Brisker's been able to make the play. So he's been very good for us. I'm not going to negotiate with Mar one more time. That offer I gave him was going to be the last one. Michael Schofield. Bring back on a 1-year deal. Nope. Okay. I guess no one really wants to play, and I don't blame him. Sam Mustipher, don't really know what I'm going to do with him. A lot of these guys, I'm perfectly fine letting him walk. And we have a ton of cap space, which is why I'm excited for the offseason. Of course, 2 first-round picks now, having ours in the Bengals. Not like I said, I'm not looking at QBs. I looked at David Goodwell. He's now 100% scouted. So we see all of his skills. It looks like he's a good rack guy. I think he has the playmaker ability, so that makes perfect sense. But D release, a spectacular catch. His physicals, it's good to great speed. He's gonna go early. He has one official, or his true talent is round 1 to 2. So if he slips to the second round where I planned on taking a receiver, we'll take him. But I do like our other receiver better that we have on our list, who's basically go a lot later. Who was it? I think it was Dawan Cooper, who I really, really liked. It might have been. It was someone who had a great to elite speed. It was probably Tayshaun Clinton, the guy with the deep threat. No, he had good to great speed. I don't really remember who it was. It has to be one of these two guys towards the end, or I just forgot to like him. Marginal decent speed. If it's David Goodwell. I'm hoping I liked him because I really don't want to search for him again. I don't think I did. If it's the first guy up here, Mike Stallings, it is. I'm just dumb. But yeah, we'll continue to sim. I'm tempted to just sim to the end of the season, but I know one of these weeks I get asked for the regional focuses. So I think what I'm going to do is either edit or speed this part up until we get there. It's actually right here, so never mind. We're at the focus player spot. Kendall Vildor has an upgrade, man-to-man. He's played higher than a 70 overall. And we have enough staff points to get another focus player unlocked. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. All right, and let's see who our front office is saying is a rising prospect. They're saying running back. And I'm not interested in a running back at all. Taking a running back in the first round in 2022 is just not smart. But we are going to choose our focus players real quick. And not worried about the quarterbacks. We get 3 focus players. And I think I'm going to do... Louis Acosta's already 95%, so I'm not going to do him. We're going to do Cole Lindsey, Josh Lynch, and where's the other receiver? The deep threat receiver. We'll do Mike Stallings. He's projected round 1 to 2, but I feel like he's a guy that could end up being a sleeper pick. So we're going to go ahead and do those 3 as our focus players. And we are going to sim to the next week. And we did get a win against the Lions. We won 42-7. And we win against the Falcons, going up 49-33. So we rattle off 2 straight wins. Our pass defense is still really good. Number 7th overall. And our rushing offense is still very good at 7th overall. So we have some bright spots. We have a secondary that's playing well, and we have an offensive line that can actually run block and a running back that can run. Okay, here we go. We do have a breakout scenario for Jaquan Brisker, and I would love to play this game to do it, and I think I am going to just play the defense maybe. I won't. I want to get to the end of this season in this video, and adding that gameplay would take this video to close to an hour already. We did get someone on weekly awards. Is it Brisker? It is not. It's Justin Fields, who was 24 for 32, 307 yards, 3 pass touchdowns, 28 rush yards, and 1 rush touchdown. 4 total touchdowns for Justin Fields, and I don't remember seeing a turnover on there. So that is a W game for us, and we will check stats. I do want to check the stats on Justin Fields, so I will do that in a second. We get the last focus player slot, and I forgot to go edit the last one. Let me go do that real quick. But I mean, we've won 2 straight. Hopefully, it's not completely affecting our draft position. Kyler Gordon, Braxton Jones, and they added Trenton Gill. Why would we have our punter as a focus player? Let's go ahead and add. I want to add a guy that I trust. It will be a part of the future. We'll do Vildor. Tevin Jenkins is still here. So we now have our new focus player lineup set. And let's go ahead and just, let's just sim to the playoffs here. But we see the Cowboys have the number 1 seed. Panthers have the 2 seed. Interesting. Cardinals 3. Packers and Eagles are your 4 and 5 seed. Washington makes the playoffs, and the Saints make the playoffs. So we have 3 NFC East teams and 2 NFC South teams. On the AFC side, the Chiefs are your 1 seed with Jacksonville as your 2 seed. Miami as your 3, Pittsburgh as your 4, and Buffalo as your 5 seed, the first wildcard team. Raiders are 6, and Chargers are 7. So 3 AFC West teams and 2 AFC North teams. This is kind of what we would have expected from the AFC West coming into the year, but that's just not what we're going to get. Raiders aren't making the playoffs. Chargers might not even make the playoffs. But we see we went 5-12 here on the year. We'll take a look at the stats here. Aaron Rodgers, Mac Jones, and Joe Burrow are going to be your 3 passing leaders. Derrick Henry, Jacobs, and Chubb are your rushing leaders. Derrick Henry close to a 2,000-yard season. Van Jefferson led the league in receiving yards. Not Justin. He was 3rd. Van Jefferson, the Rams receiver. Von Miller led the league in sacks with 28. Aluakana, linebacker, led the league in picks with 7, and Bobby Wagner led the league in not tackles because Eric Kendricks has more, so I don't really know. But we'll take a look at the stats here for the team. Justin Fields had 3,500 yards, 23 touchdowns to 14 interceptions, 61% completion rating. His passer rating was 87.7. Montgomery wasn't a 1,000-yard rusher, averaged almost 5 yards per carry, 8 total touchdowns. Justin Fields had 466 rushing yards, almost 5 yards per carry, 8 total touchdowns as well. Herbert also had 7 touchdowns. So Fields had a total of 31 touchdowns, 14 picks, and 1 fumble. So 15 turnovers, 31 touchdowns, so a 2-to-1 ratio. Not the worst. Mooney wasn't a 1,000-yard receiver, barely. Averaged almost 60 yards per game, 8 total touchdowns. Cole Kmet had a really solid year for a tight end. Pringle, terrible. Not terrible, but every time I threw to him, he dropped the ball. Claypool, disappointment for a 2nd-round pick. And then we see the rest of the receivers out here. Pettis caught 2 touchdowns. Defensively, I'm expecting just bad numbers. Morrow led us in tackles with 151. Had 3 sacks and 2 picks. Not bad. 7 TFLs as well. Jalen Johnson, our corner, was our 2nd leading tackler with 101. And then our safety, Jaquan Brisker, was our 3rd tackler. Yeah, so our linebackers are clearly terrible, as you have our leading tackler being a linebacker, and then our next 3 guys being secondary players. Before we get to Joe Thomas with 77 tackles. TFLs, Justin Jones had 14. Eric Armstead had 11. And Al-Qaedin Muhammad had 10. Sorry if I butchered that name. Gibson with 9. And then Mara with 7. See the rest there. Sacks probably really low. Eric Armstead had 7.5. That is why we traded for him. 7.5 from an interior lineman is actually very, very good. Travis Gibson, 7. Morrow with 3. Jones with 1. And Muhammad with 1. So clearly our pass rush is terrible. Picks, Morrow is tied with 2 with Brisker. And that's really it. I don't really trust the rest of these stats. Morrow allowed the most catches than Jalen. I don't really trust those. But that's going to be our stats. Cairo Santos went 10 for 10 from field goals. Taking only 10 field goals in an entire season is insane. 51 for 51 for extra points. So can't complain on the kicking front. But we see Fields' rankings there at the 38th passer rating. Defensive yards, 26. Offensive yards, if you missed it, was dead last. 22nd in points scored. And 27th in points allowed. So, clearly just a ton of holes for a very bad team. But that is going to be the end of season 1. Obviously, I have can't fire coach on or whatever it's called, so we get our contract extended. I'm going to go ahead and sim to the off season, where I know I said in other episodes that I would look to make a change at the coordinator positions mid-season. I decided not to, just because it was a lost season, and I don't know what kind of weapons or what kind of team we're going to have next year because I plan on making some pretty big changes. So those staff changes will come in the next episode, which is going to be the off-season episode. But to round out this episode, we're going to take a look at the season recap and kind of look at all the awards around the league. So the Packers win the Super Bowl. I would cry if that happened in real life. Weird year. The Jaguars made it. Rodgers is your Super Bowl MVP. Dak Prescott wins MVP. Doug Peterson wins Coach of the Year. Josh Jacobs, Offensive Player of the Year. Von Miller, Depoy. George Pickens, Offensive Rookie. And Aiden Hutchinson, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Those are your awards. It's amazing because Madden got every single one of them wrong. None of these are going to come true. Von Miller is the only one that maybe would have happened if he didn't get hurt. Jacobs has a case for it, but it should go to Jefferson. It should. Everything else is just way off. But hey, it's a simulation. We knew this game wasn't realistic. But the Packers won in a 27-21 game that actually probably was a really good Super Bowl. And we're going to have some more player upgrades as the season comes to an end. We're not worried about anyone that is not a starter, which we do not have any starter upgrades, which is tragic. But to end this episode off, we're going to take a look at some more prospects, as we have a lot more information on these guys, or we should. Louis Acosta is still at 95%. You can see his skills right here. D finesse moves is kind of a red flag. He's listed as a power rusher though. B power moves, C block shedding. Maybe he is the number 2 prospect. Cole Linsley has dropped to number 5. And we see his ratings again. B block shed. But I wish I could sort by like most completed, but I can't. Okay, we see David Goodwell here. I think we saw him earlier. Where is my focus player at receiver? It was Mike Stallings, who is only 80% complete, so we cannot see his true talent. But we can see some more ratings. D short route running, B deep route, D catching, and F medium route running. That hurts a ton. That really hurts him a ton. I almost want to take him off my list, but I'm not going to. But I like the list we have for, in terms of going into the draft, we have a nice variety of guys. So I don't think I'm going to do a lot more looking into the players before the draft. But that is going to do it for this episode. I decided to go in a different direction with it. I knew coming in I wasn't going to play the full game, but I decided that instead of watching me lose most of these games with a shit team, it would be better to kind of speed the rebuild up so I don't have like 17 episodes of just piss poor gameplay with the bad team. And I thought it would be better to just get this season 1 over in one more episode, and then we can start getting into the actual fun stuff, which is, building a new team and playing with that new team and playing with the guys we draft and the players we sign. So, yeah, in the next episode, it will be the off-season. We'll look at some staff changes. We will then look into the free agency, or we will not look into. We will complete free agency, and then we will do the draft. And then the episode after that, we will play in the preseason games to get a taste of the rookies. But that is it for this one. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.